my name is HAPruitt, and I'm the author of the Anathalian series. And in this video, I'm going to tell my birth story of my second child. He's here. I don't know if you can see him. I'll lift him up when I get there. So you're an author, you have this series. What does your birth story have to do with what you do on this YouTube channel? So my books are, at their core, about telling how amazing God is. And this story is going to tell how amazing God is. The Anathalian series is like Narnia in the way of it, Aslan is the God figure, and you learn about him through the adventures they have and where they go and what they do and how they interact with him. And that's what the Anathalian series is like. It's the maker in Anathalian and how they go through things and interact with the world. It shows them things about the maker, and teaches the readers about God. And so that's what it has to do with my birth story. It's at the core, all of this stuff is about how amazing God is. So, say hello to Jasper. He's not wearing clothes because it's like 80 degrees in March 4th today. This is Jasper. He weighs like 6 pounds. He's little. Yay! I like little babies. For multiple reasons. So my birth story really starts I can't remember exact dates, but third trimester. So third trimester, we have my older biological son, who's 2, and then we have a foster child who's in kindergarten, and he catches everything at school, just like all kindergartners, and he brings everything home. And I was super worried I was going to get everything he brought home throughout my pregnancy, because when you're pregnant, you have a lowered immune system, so your body doesn't kill the foreign object inside you, the baby. And so I was really afraid, and I caught something from him, and it started just like a cough, but then it got worse and worse and worse, and eventually I had to go to the hospital because I could not talk, I could not breathe, and my husband's like, "You're wheezing, and I'm worried something's really wrong with you." So I ended up in the hospital, and they found out I had the flu, and because it had progressed so much, I had pneumonia. And so this is week 30, 32, I don't know, I don't remember. Yeah, so that wasn't fun. But they gave me antibiotics and was like, "You'll get better, it's okay." I didn't get better. I got so much worse. And I coughed so much that my ribs started hurting. I remember sitting on I'm sitting on the ottoman. I remember sitting on this ottoman on Tuesday evening, and I called my husband because my ribs hurt so bad. I was sure I had done something to them. I was like, "I'm sure I've broken a rib, I feel so awful, I can barely move, I'm in such pain." I had not broken a rib yet, but it was I don't remember which Tuesday. It was Tuesday, early February. And I was sitting on this ottoman, and I told him, I feel so awful. From coughing so much, my ribs were just aching. And so I went to bed early at 6, because when you're pregnant, you're really tired, and that made me even more tired. So I went to bed at 6, and he went out to the shop, the workshop, and I started coughing, and I started having this coughing fit, and I coughed and coughed and coughed, and I finally tried to sit up in bed, and when I was sitting up, it felt like on my left side, kind of in the back of my rib, it felt like something snapped, and I screamed and screamed and screamed in pain, until my husband finally came in the house, and he's like, "What happened?" I was like, "I broke my rib." And he's like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "I broke my rib." And so he took me to the hospital again, and they took x-rays, and I was like, "I think I broke my rib." And they didn't really believe me, because who breaks their rib from coughing? Me. And they took x-rays and found out, "You indeed broke your rib." So I'm I think that was 34 weeks pregnant, maybe 35 weeks pregnant. I have the flu, I have pneumonia, and I had a broken rib. Oh my goodness, yeah. So this is my birth story. I was in bad shape. I was in awful shape. And I had almost gone into labor at like week 35. And
you had a husband?
Yeah, I talked about you too.
Oh, me.
Yes, he's outside. At week 35, I had gone into labor, real labor, and they had to stop it because it's too early. So I was not okay, because I went into early labor because I was dehydrated, which is a Herculean feat for me because I drink so much water. So I was really bad off. Really, really bad off by week 30. That was like week 36. Yeah, I broke my rib week 35, like the day before I turned 36 weeks pregnant. So I was really bad off. Really bad off. I couldn't talk. I couldn't barely move. I couldn't do anything but sit upright. And that's about all I could really do. Sit upright and be on my phone doing my author stuff. Like, I could do that. No, I couldn't do that. I couldn't lift my arms up high. I couldn't turn on the kitchen sink when I got home after 3 days in the hospital because reaching that far hurt so bad with my ribs. I couldn't write because, like, doing anything more than having my arm right beside me, and it was my left side, I'm left-handed, and doing anything more than having my arm with a pillow tucked under it was too much. It was just too much. I couldn't do hardly anything besides very slowly walk around the house and sit upright. And that was about it. And it was really bad. My husband was having to put my socks on me, my shoes on me, my clothes on me. It was horrible. I felt like I couldn't do anything. And I was really close to not being able to do anything. And that really got to me. Because, like, for the first 2 weeks of having that broken rib, week 36 of pregnancy and 37, I was not okay. Yeah. I think I'm getting my weeks wrong, but it doesn't matter. Those 2 weeks, and I was pregnant, and so the weight of my belly is weighing everything down. The weight of everything growing is weighing everything down. I just felt so heavy and so sick, and I was still sick. So heavy and so sick. And every time I breathed, I remember breathing. Even just taking a breath was so hard. Every breath hurt. Every second of my day hurt. And I felt helpless, and I felt hopeless, and I felt like it was never going to end because, I mean, when you have pain every single time you breathe, it just feels so long and so hard. And at the end of the day, when I was sitting in my recliner, we moved the recliner by my bed so I could sleep in the recliner because I couldn't lay back. Every night my husband, he'd be like, you got through another day. You got through another day and you're one day closer to being done with this. And, like, you never know when the baby's gonna come. And so that's encouraging in a way because you're like, it could be tomorrow. Because he had tried to come early, and so I was like, it could be tomorrow. Or it could be like 4 more weeks. So, yeah, so that was encouraging. But still, I felt like I still had so long. Like, I could have so long left. And it was hard. It was really hard, you guys, to feel that helpless and that stuck and that sick and that much in pain for so long. And it's just so hard. It was so hard. And I begged God every night. Like, my foot was hurting and my leg is really bad. And that's a whole other story. My leg got really bad and my ribs were really bad. I just go from, like, the feet up, praying that God would heal me in all these different various ways that I was not okay. And he did. He did. As you can see now, this week would be week 38. I had him at week 37 last week. It's been 1 week. Yeah, it's been 1 week since I gave birth. He's 1 week old. And God, like, okay, there's a whole birth story with it. But I haven't even gotten to the birth story. But, like, when he came out, I immediately was better in so many ways. Like, I was sitting up and leaning back and talking. I was talking without pain and breathing without pain. And the next morning I put my socks on by myself. And that was a big deal. That was a really, really big deal. And I was just amazed at how, like, when I had Jasper, how immediately I was so much better. And I was just thanking God for everything. Yeah. So my birth story. I had wanted to vlog it, but I didn't vlog it very well. I did, like, one vlog, and then I think I did one when we were leaving the hospital. So I'm going to let you watch that one vlog I did, and kind of that was happening that day and everything, and see, I'm going to go back and watch it and see what I actually said, and then I'm going to fill in the gaps for you after I let you watch that first vlog. Okay, so started labor during the night, but it wasn't very close together until, like, after I ate breakfast at 6, and it's almost 3 o'clock right now, and my contractions are finally hurting. They're finally hurting. I've been walking the hallways. It's been a crazy day. The hospital in our town, no doctor was there, and so they had to send me to a bigger town an hour away.
I beat the ambulance.
My husband beat the ambulance. They weren't driving with their lights on. And the ambulance driver said I was almost a unicorn, which is funny, which means you're 120 over 80. I was 122 over 80. He said my vitals were perfect. But yeah, so yeah, and it's like a really uncertain thing. Like, we don't know what's gonna happen. And I don't know if this has how labor usually is, to be so long. Like I said, it really started at 6 and it's almost 3. With my other baby, he was here in like 5 hours from start to finish. And so I'm like, is this normal? Am I gonna stop being in labor? Is it gonna progress? I don't know. She's about to come in and check me for dilation. So we'll see what happens next. I think I'm about to have a contraction though, so maybe I should get it on camera. Should I?
She's been having those about every 2 minutes, and they're lasting anywhere from a minute to almost 2 minutes. And so they're getting much more significant in the strength of what they are. She about went, she probably would have went down to her knees a while ago if it weren't for her ribs, but that's just not an option right now. And now she's no longer in pain, and she's just annoyed by the sound of my voice.
Yeah, the kicker here is I had broken my ribs almost 3 weeks ago. And so that makes things difficult. I can't move like I would like. I can walk and walk through the contractions, but I can't like stretch or bend over at all. Yeah, so breathing and walking are what I'm doing. Oh, she's coming, I think. I don't know. Okay, so I covered most of it in the vlog. And what happened after that, she came in and she checked me, and I was 4 to 5 centimeters dilated, which is the fancy way of saying I wasn't ready to go into labor yet. My body wasn't prepared yet. It hadn't prepared itself. Dilation is how like open you are so the baby can come out. And you want to get to 10, and I was only at like 4 or 5, and so I wasn't ready. And so I went and walked the hallways. We've been doing this back and forth cycle. She checked me, 4 or 5 centimeters dilated. I walked for an hour. Same thing over and over since I got to the hospital, from 11 to 3 o'clock. And so I walked the hall again from 3 to 4, and she had me come back and check me, and I was 4 to 5 centimeters dilated. And she's like, you know what? Let's just have you go to a labor and delivery room, because you, like I said in the video, you feel like your contractions might be getting stronger. So just in case labor does suddenly progress like that, it's not probably going to happen, but just in case it does, let's take you to a labor and delivery room. I was in triage. And so I walked because I wanted to walk. Walking was helping it seemed to go along. And so I was like, okay, I'll walk. And it took like, she checked me and we started walking at like 4 o'clock, and we got to the labor and delivery room at 4:03, and I was not okay. You saw my contraction level there in the video, and it was like, you have to close your eyes, you have to breathe through it. It's kind of painful, but you saw like I wasn't in like immense pain. But we got to that labor and delivery room, and everything just like, my brain went into this space where I was just so focused on what was going on inside me. And I saw a little bathroom, and I was like, I have so much pressure pushing down, I think I have to go to the bathroom. And I tried, and I didn't. And I was like shuddering, like my body was shuddering. And I recognized that my body was trying to get me to push. Like 3 minutes, it switched from, you may or may not be in labor, we may send you home, we don't really know, to my body was ready to get the baby out. And like I was trying to communicate, but it was at this point that like I couldn't really communicate because the pain was like, the pain and the pressure was just taking over. And so by the time I communicated that, like, I am going to have this baby, like, they got me on the bed, they tried to get the IV in, they didn't in time. They, like, this flood of nurses came in, like, 10 or more nurses suddenly appeared in the room, and, like, everything's going really fast, and I'm sitting on the bed, and I'm, like, seeing my body physically shake because it's trying to push. And finally the doctor comes in, and she just sits on the end of the bed all casual, and she's like, you push whenever you feel like you need to, you just do it. And I was, like, roaring, like, roar! But, like, actually, like, legitimately roaring, because I just, like, you just feel like you have to. It's like trying to push a semi-truck. Like, you feel like you just have to roar to do whatever your body's trying to do. And so I'm just, like, roaring in pain or pressure or effort, I don't know what. And I feel the baby's head come. And the doctor's like, oh, and everyone's like, oh, the baby's head. I see the baby's head. I see the baby's head. The baby's head. And that's, like, the first time I pushed. The first time I pushed, I felt that, like, half his head come out. And then, like, I relaxed because it feels like you need to push and then it goes away. And I relaxed and I felt the baby's head go back in. I was like, no! In my head, I'm like, no. And so the next time the urge came, like, the doctor's just sitting there watching, waiting. I was propping myself up with my hands. And I just pushed as hard as I stinking could. And he came out. Second time I pushed. And I saw him come out this time with my first baby. I didn't see him come out, but this time he just came out. Second time I pushed. And it was 4:10 whenever he came out. So from, like, 4:03 to 4:10, 7 minutes was when I was in, like, active labor, or, like, the pushing stage. Not active labor. When I was in the pushing stage for 7 minutes. And I got him out with 2 pushes. Yeah. So that was, like, intense and crazy and fast. And I forgot to say, throughout everything that happened to me, they checked the baby constantly because, like, if something's wrong with you, something's wrong with the baby, right? And through everything, they always said he's perfect. He's perfectly fine. Nothing's wrong with him. His heartbeat's great. He's as perfect as a baby could be. And when he came out, nothing was wrong with him. He was perfect as a baby could be. And every time they checked him from then on, like, perfect as a baby could be. Yeah. And so God really took care of him. Here he is again. He's sleeping. He's just chilling. God really took care of him in just making sure that even though I was in this horrible state, it was awful. Somebody said absolute torture, and I'm like, yeah, that's about right. Even though I was in absolute torture state, God took care of this baby and made him perfect through the whole thing. And that was so great. We have comments from the Peanut Gallery.
Yeah, I would just like to add that the whole thing was really hard on me too. I know she went through a lot, but I had to wait a long time before I got to eat. And she got to eat before that. And I was pretty hungry.
You're fine.
And I got really thirsty. It was a bad day.
You're fine.
And nobody asked me how I was.
He was fine. He got lots of donuts at the hospital. Lots of donuts. But, okay, thank you. We were talking about God here. And so God took care of Jasper through the whole thing. And, hello, baby. And my oldest, who's trying to talk to me now. We had an amazing friend who took care of him through the whole thing. And it was just perfect. She was just perfect. So God took care of this baby. God took care of that baby who's trying to get in the house now. I may have to end my video soon. God took care of me. Because like I said, immediately, so much just was done. So much pain, so much agony. And God had been telling me I was closer than I thought. And when I got to through songs, through stories, through all these things I interacted with, God had been telling me. Like, it was hard to believe because you felt like it was so long and hard. But God had been showing me, like, all of this is going to end in this beautiful sunrise. The dark night is going to end, and you're going to have this beautiful sunrise, and it's going to be glorious. And it was. I My mouth is getting dry. I just felt this weight lifted off of me, this great joy come in me, and I still feel it, that I'm just so joyful now that God has let this baby be okay, let him be here, we're home, everything is good now. Like, my rib is still technically broken, but it's healing. My leg is still technically not doing great, but it's healing. Excuse me. My cough. If you've been watching my videos, you see that little gentle cough I just did, so much better than what I have been doing. And another amazing God thing in all of this is I had broken my rib, and I don't know if you've ever had a baby or not, but it takes a lot of effort to get the baby out. And I was at a point where I couldn't put my socks on. I could barely breathe. I could barely walk. And so I was really scared, and other people were telling me, you're not going to be able to do it. Like, just be realistic. You're not going to be able to do it. You're not going to be able to deliver the baby naturally. And, like, I have nothing against C-sections, except I didn't want to be healing for, like, 4 more months. I'd already been, like, half bedridden because of my horrible state. I didn't want to be healing from a surgery, because that's what a C-section is. It's a surgery. I didn't want that. I just didn't want to be sick and down and not okay for that much longer. And so I really wanted to be able to deliver vaginally. That's what you call it. I really wanted to be able to do that just so I could be done with all the hospital junk and all the stitches and all the everything and all the whatever. I didn't have stitches until then, but I would have if I had that surgery. And so people were telling me that's what you're going to have to do. You're not going to be able to push. You're not going to be able to deliver vaginally. You're going to have a C-section, and you're going to be down for this much more time. You're not going to be able to heal. Yeah, for like 4 months to a year. And I was dismal. But God made him come earlier, like I said, at week 37. Yeah, it was week 37, which is 3 weeks early. I'm bad at math, which is 3 weeks early. And so God made him come early, so he was technically smaller than he would be if he grew more in me. God made him come when I was 3 weeks healed with my ribs, halfway there. God made him come at like the perfect time, where I was just well enough, and he was just small enough that it only took 2 pushes, and I didn't get worn out by it. I didn't get, like I said, I got on the bed, and I just, like, they couldn't lay me back like they did with my first boy. If they had, I probably wouldn't have been able to do it. I just sat there, and I just popped him out. And God made that happen as fast as it did so I could do it. And I'm so thankful he did. Like, if you've delivered, you know this is a big deal. If you haven't, I'm not going to explain it, but I didn't tear. I didn't even tear with him coming that hard and fast. And people were like, you're going to. It's a fact. Like, I think the statistics is like 70 to 90% of women do. People just don't get through labor without tearing if they do it that way. And I didn't tear. I didn't have to have a C-section. I just popped him out and I was done with it. And I was better afterward. And it's not supposed to be that way. And God made it that way. And it was really amazing. So God did so many things with how Jasper came and how he was delivered. God did so much here. And without him, like, I wouldn't have made it. But with him, like, it was great and it's good. And everything is so good now. So that's my birth story, the big long thing. God made a really difficult situation into something glorious. Into this story, I can say, it's a low point. Like, not the worst point in my life, because physical pain doesn't compare to emotional pain. But, like, it's a low point. I was feeling really low, and it was getting really tough. And God made it into this beautiful sunrise that now is just fantastic. And he's a great baby. He sleeps through the night, except when we wake him up, to feed him. And he's chill, and he eats well, and I mean, he's just great. It's just great now, and God did that. God did all of that. So, if you like this video, please like it. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I usually do, like, book reviews and talk about books, and how amazing God is. please subscribe to my channel. Please share this video with anybody who likes birth stories or to hear about how amazing God is. And thank you for watching. Bye.
Hey, wait a minute. I have more I need to say. It was all so bad because she got to lay down the whole time, and I had to stand up, like the whole time. And there was a perfectly good recliner right over next to her, and I wasn't allowed to sit. I had to stand
For
the whole
7
time.
minutes. You stood
The whole
for 7
time.
minutes.
7 minutes, yes. That was after having to have walk
You're done.
all around the hospital.
You're done. If you want to know more about Anathalion or HAPruitt, please follow me on Instagram at HAPruitt. You can find me on Amazon as an Amazon author, HAPruitt. Please watch my YouTube channel and all my cool videos on my channel, HAPruitt Anathalion. You can find me on the Facebook page, HAPruitt Anathalion. You can follow me on Goodreads by the name HAPruitt and the book Anathalion, or you can go to my website where so much cool stuff about Anathalion is. The website is HAPruitt.com.
Stories with my child. It was an 80-degree February day. No, Dad, it wasn't. There's no such thing as an 80-degree February day.
Yeah, it's like literally 80 degrees and it's February 26th. February 26th. We are just about ready to head home. And we're both doing really good. So yay!